I lost $84,000 in 4 days. Not because of bad weather, not because corn prices crashed, because my combine broke down on day 3 of harvest, and I couldn't get parts for 4 days. That's when I stopped thinking about equipment as an expense. That's when I started thinking about it as survival. All right, my name doesn't matter. What matters is I've been farming close to 1,400 acres in central Kansas for going on 22 years now. I've run cheap iron. I've run expensive iron. And I'm going to tell you today, with zero agenda, exactly what I've learned about machinery, money, and what actually keeps a large operation alive. This is Farm Gear Pro, and we don't sugarcoat things around here. So let's start with the question everybody's got in the back of their head. Is it really worth spending $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 on a combine? Man, I used to laugh at guys who did that. I'm sitting there with my paid-off 2003 machine thinking I'm the smart one, keeping overhead low, playing it safe. Then I ran the actual numbers. My old combine was burning 40% more fuel per hour than a current generation machine. I was losing grain at the header, probably 8 to 12 bushels per acre, just walking away from me on the ground. My downtime during a 10-day harvest window averaged about 14 hours per season in repairs. You know what 14 hours cost you during peak harvest on 1,400 acres? It ain't nothing, it's everything. See, here's what changes when you cross that 1,000 acre mark. Every single hour in the field has a dollar value attached to it. Every single hour. You miss your planting window by 3 days because your planter's down? That's not just a repair bill sitting in front of you. That's a yield penalty. We're talking 10 to 15 bushels per acre, gone. On 1,000 acres at $5 corn, you just lost $50,000 to $75,000. One breakdown, one missed window. I've seen it happen to neighbors, good farmers, hard workers, guys who did everything right except they tried to save money on iron, and it cost them a season. That's not bad luck, brother. That's operating risk you chose not to manage. Now let me talk about something nobody wants to admit. We're all scared of the payment. I get it. A $600,000 combine note is a terrifying thing to sign your name on. But here's what I had to get through my own thick skull. I wasn't comparing the right numbers. I was comparing the purchase price. I wasn't comparing the cost per bushel. Current generation machines, your Case IH Axial Flow, your John Deere X Series. These things are engineered to push 3,600 bushels per hour under good conditions. That's not marketing. That's mechanical engineering that directly hits your harvest efficiency. When I upgraded, my cost per bushel harvested dropped, my fuel bill dropped, my repair invoices dropped, and my sleep got a whole lot better come October. The payment was scary, the ROI was real. And hey, real quick, if you're finding this useful, do me a solid right now. Like this video, share it with another farmer, maybe that neighbor who's still running a machine older than his kids, and hit subscribe on Farm Gear Pro. We do this every week. Real talk, real numbers, no fluff. All right, back to it. Let's talk planters. Because this is where I see the biggest mistake on large operations. Guys spend $600,000 on a combine, and then they're running a planter that's 15 years old. That doesn't make sense to me. You know why? Your yield potential, your absolute ceiling for what that field can produce, it gets locked in at planting. That's it. You can't fix a bad stand in July. You can't wish better emergence into existence. What goes in the ground in April is what you're working with all season. A high-speed precision planter, your John Deere ExactEmerge, your Kinze 4900. These machines are doing something your old planter physically cannot do. They're placing seed at 99% plus singulation accuracy at 10 miles per hour. That's double the field speed of older technology. On 1,000 acres, that means you're finishing planting in potentially half the time. And those automatic section controls, variable rate seeding, precision spacing, that technology alone can cut your input overlap by 77%. 77% on seed and fertilizer costs across 1,000 acres. That number changes your whole margin conversation. That's not a feature, that's profit protection. Now tractors. I'll keep this part simple because I think people overcomplicate it. Modern 400 horsepower machines with CVT transmission, John Deere 8R, Case IH Magnum, Fendt 900. These things keep the engine in its sweet spot regardless of what load you're throwing at it. What that means practically is you're burning 15 to 20% less fuel per acre than you were with an older PowerShift unit doing the same work. Fuel is top 3 in your operating expenses, every single year. A 15 to 20% cut on fuel across 1,000 acres of tillage. That's $15,000 to $25,000 a year. Back in your pocket, every year. For as long as you run that tractor. You tell me if that payment starts looking different now. And the telematics. I know some older guys roll their eyes at this stuff. I did too. But when I can sit at my kitchen table at 6 a.m. and see exactly what every piece of iron is doing out in the field, when my machine is telling me it needs service before it breaks down during harvest. That's not fancy technology for technology's sake. That's me keeping control of my operation. Here's something I want you to sit with for a second. Asset depreciation on well-maintained, late-model equipment is manageable. Your trade-in value holds. Your resale market exists. But a breakdown during harvest on a large operation, factoring in emergency repairs, potential custom harvesting rates, delayed grain drying costs, weather risk, that can run $100,000 or more in a single event. I know because I lived it. Remember that $84,000 I told you about at the start? That was 2019. Combine goes down day 3, parts back-ordered, 4 days sitting. I watched that corn stand there getting wetter every single morning. I swore I'd never let a piece of iron make that decision for me again. Bought a new combine that winter. Best financial decision I've made in 22 years of farming, and Farm Gear Pro talks about this all the time. The cost of reliability isn't the sticker price. The cost of unreliability is what'll break you. So here's the bottom line, and I mean this. If you're farming 1,000 acres or more, and you're making equipment decisions based purely on what's cheapest up front, you're playing a losing game. You might win a few seasons, but eventually the iron will fail you at the worst possible time. And on a large operation, that failure doesn't just hurt, it can set you back years. The farmers I see winning out here, really winning, expanding acreage, controlling their cost per bushel, building something their kids can actually take over someday. They treat equipment like the serious capital investment it is. They run the real numbers. They factor in downtime risk, fuel efficiency, input savings, and yield protection. They don't buy cheap. They buy smart. Your land works hard every single day. Make sure your iron is working just as hard right alongside it. That's what we believe at Farm Gear Pro. And that's what I've learned the hard way on 1,400 acres in Kansas. Thanks for watching Farm Gear Pro. If you found this breakdown valuable, share it with a fellow farmer and comment below your thoughts on this topic. See you in the next one.